It's been 2.5 years in the making, but I'm finally getting the chance to review a CRZRVAN van. Built in Shepparton, these are serious off-roaders and seriously limited and hard to get your hands on. The van behind me is number 15 and the second CRZRVAN van that owner Luke has bought. Now we're up in Noosa, north of Brisbane, and Luke has graciously towed it up from Brisbane for just an overnight look at the van. So we're going to sit down with Luke, learn a little bit about why he bought the CRZRVAN, what he thinks of it, and what he's done to make his van custom fit his purpose. Let's get into it.
Luke runs a small camper and caravan hire business on Camplify with a Patriot MDC, a smaller cruiser van, and this, his latest addition, the Big Van.
Thanks for coming down, Luke. Well, up, I should say, actually, from Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 2.5 years since I first spoke to Reese about trying to get my hands on a CRZRVAN van. And it only happens when I finally come up to Queensland to get out of Melbourne's winter. Now, this is your second van.
It is.
Tell me, what actually are we looking at in terms of specs?
So it's pretty much a custom-made van, 3150 kilogram dry weight. So with 340 litres in there, you're pretty much bang on 3.5 tonne, but it has a 4.5 tonne ATM, so it's got 1,000 kilograms of payload.
On top of the water?
On top of the water.
Damn.
So it's pretty hard to use that up. We haven't nudged it yet. We've only got up to about probably 3.7, I think. So
yeah.
It's a lot of payload.
I noticed it's a bit narrower. Like watching yesterday driving on the beach behind a Ram, you don't have oversized mirrors on the 2500. Don't look like you need them either. But what is this, 2.2?
It's about I think it's 2.15. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, the way Reese builds them with, they're sort of targeted at an off-road market, or at least the ability to take them down a narrow track and not have to worry about clipping what your mirrors don't hit, So if your mirrors are sort of making it, the car's getting through okay, then you're pretty confident the van's not going to bump into anything. So that's sort of why they're a bit narrower than your normal van.
Yeah. I did notice though that the wheel track is it's actually wider than the body, so the flares are on there, not just the looks, but actually the tyres are just poking ever so slightly outside the body. Does that match the Ram?
I think it's actually a little bit wider than the Ram. I'm not sure exactly by how much, but Reese is a big 79 Cruiser fan, so that's sort of how the name came about. Either that or he doesn't like vowels, because there's no vowels in the name. It's just cruiser van. So all the axles, the stud pattern, all that sort of is based off a 79 series Cruiser. It seems to be pretty well matched to the Ram. And the other van that we've got, the first one we bought, it's narrower again, and it tows behind a dual cab ute quite comfortably as well. Yeah.
So the first one, how long ago did you buy that?
So we bought that at the start of 21, on the way back from Melbourne just before Easter. Just before a lockdown came through on Easter weekend. So we got home in time, but yeah, that was the first one we had. Great van, served us well for about 18 months, but we loved it so much we wanted to go bigger and bigger and
more. Yeah.
Get something with a bigger bed and a bit wider as well, but also laid out a bit more ergonomically and a bit more flow to it. So my wife's responsible for the interior.
Okay.
The way that's all laid out.
Yeah.
I just wanted a big bed.
Now you've kept the other one because you rent these out, don't you?
We do, yeah. So we've got a little side hustle running, Offgrid Caravan Hire, not to be confused with Off the Grid. There's another guy called Off the Grid.
Offgrid Caravan Hire.
Offgrid Caravan Hire, and we allow them. Our target with that is to let people take them off-road and experience proper off-road caravanning.
Yeah.
Most companies that hire out caravans have a no off-road policy, but we allow ours to go off-road. This one doesn't get hired too much because it's priced out of the...
Oh, is it? What is this a day?
Priced rather high. We'd probably let it hire for $250 a day.
That's actually not bad.
It's not bad, yeah. It depends on who you are, I suppose. But the problem with it is you need a fairly capable tow rig.
Yeah, 4.5 tonne. So look, if you kept it empty, like you're saying, just the water, you could tow it with something smaller, but then you're at the limits of a cruiser, you're at the limits of a new double cab.
Yep.
So you do want to probably have an American truck. Now, I'm going to get under it in a bit and have a good squiz of that suspension, because it looks pretty cool. When it tows off-road, tell me about how it tows for you.
It just sits behind the car and behaves so well. The dual axles help obviously keep things straight. Yeah, each axle is rated to 3.5 tons. So
Jeez, really?
you can do the old trick and tuck one axle up if you need to.
Yeah, because it's on airbags there, so you could.
Big Firestone airbags, yeah, so you could do all sorts of things. I think it actually articulates quite well as well when you're going over rough terrain.
Well, that's the joy of the solid axle, is that when one wheel's been pushed up, the other wheel's been pushed down.
Yep.
So if you're in a really rutted river, you should actually find that this will articulate ridiculously well. Now, we're not going to get a chance to test that because we're on a beach, which is flat as a pancake today.
Yeah, it's a bit flat.
Yeah. So just on that rental fleet, so you just mentioned you've got an MDC as well. So you've got 4.
We've got an MDC XD16, we've got a Patriot camper, we've got the other cruiser van, which is, I think it was the 3rd one he ever built.
Yeah.
And we've got this big behemoth here.
Cool. Number 15. So being, all right, so you got 4 of them, you're doing a lot of rentals, you're obviously going to see a lot of shit, to be honest.
Yeah, right? We do, yeah.
Are you finding that the cruiser vans are holding up to rentals better than you thought? Or?
The old cruiser van, I call it the old one, but it's, it's
only a few years old.
Only a few years old. It's actually our best hiring van. People like the look of it, they like the styling, with all the corner capping and the colour scheme, the off-road suspension. People love hiring it, they love having it behind their car. And it's just come back from the Cape. It's out at Birdsville at the moment, and then in September it's going back up the Cape for another month.
Yep.
People just love, they don't mind spending a couple of $1,000s on a good van.
Good van, yeah.
Because it's reliable. The funny thing was, it was just up at the Cape with a bunch of other vans, and it was the only van that had no problems while they were up there. So the cruiser van was flawless, it performed perfectly and had no problems at all.
So when they're coming back in terms of repairs and maintenance, they've been pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, we do our due diligence. We get them serviced regularly, the hubs and everything, and we get our guys at Offgrid Caravan World up at Brendale there to do our servicing.
Yep.
They look after us, they fix the vans up whenever they need it.
All right, mate, well I might crawl under it for a bit, have a look inside, and tell the viewers.
Pump it up for you so you can get under there easier, mate.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea actually. Underneath the cruiser van is like nothing else. First of all, you'll notice it's got a solid axle. Now, yes, you see solid axles under leaf spring and roller rocker suspension, but here we've got airbags and radius arms, and not just any radius arms. These are from J-Max, arguably one of the best engineers for lifted four drives. Now, the original design was based around the 79 series, and they were using, I think, Superior Engineering radius arms. Now we've moved to J-Max. It's running Firestone airbags, and I'm seeing Cruisemaster supplied brakes, plus an Ironman panhard bar, and interestingly, an anti-roll bar or sway bar. The underside of this is exceptionally well thought out, and looking at the design and the engineering, I trust what Luke was saying, that this will tow like a dream on the flat and articulate like nothing else off-road. Other things to notice, the water tanks are tucked up above the chassis rails, so they're very well protected. Not that it's really going to matter with this much ground clearance. It is seriously beautiful under here, and the engineering that's gone into this is second to none.
Before we jump inside, a quick rundown of the layout and the bits you can't see. The van is set up for a family of 4 with east-west bunks in the rear and a king up front. It's all about off-road and off-grid. The main fridge is in the toolbox up front beside the pull-out kitchen, which also runs induction for cooking. I love induction outdoors as it doesn't need a wind guard like gas. The body is frameless composite with what's known as a PVC core. This is essentially grooves cut into the foam core that allows the resin to be vacuumed throughout when laminating on the fiberglass skins. This is the best in the business right now.
The backbones of the self-sufficiency of this cruiser is a Victron system. Now this is a 48 volt 200 amp hour, or if you go to 12 volt 800 amp hour battery system with a 5000 watt inverter charger. Now these inverter chargers, I'm a huge fan of them. It operates both as a charger and an inverter, exactly as it says on the box. Now further from there, we've got an Orion or a pair of Orion DC converters to change everything up for the 12 volt systems, and some powerful MPPT solar regulators for the up to 1400 watts of solar on the roof. And from the solar, we've seen almost twice as much current or charge coming in as the Dometic IBIS 4 AC requires at idle. So that's super impressive. You can charge and use the AC at the same time. Now you might notice that there's not an upright fridge inside the van.
The owner, Luke, has actually optioned for a pair of deep Dometic drawers. Now, I've seen these a lot in boats before, and I'm a huge fan of them. The reason why is things don't move around inside these drawers. And remember, this is an off-road van. It's going to go on a lot of bouncy roads. Aside from that, induction cooking. There is no gas in this van. The water heater is an Eberspacher, which is also a space heater for this van, so it'll be nice and cozy on a cold night. And there is another induction cooker outside.
We had an afternoon, an evening, and a morning with the cruiser, and it was fantastic, but it wasn't enough. I really need to get one of these vans into some really tough off-road terrain that they are designed and engineered for. What I did learn is that it has a fantastic build methodology. The sandwich panel construction method, it is so well insulated for both the cold nights and the hot days here in Noosa. And the undersides are impeccable. Now, this is a proper custom van. No two vans will be the same. That's a positive, but it can also be a detraction. If you want something like Luke has here, yeah, you can probably just copy his plans, but better yet, walk in to see Reese, tell him exactly what you want, and there's no doubt you'll get the perfect van.